expand their wings in the global market. To moderate the session, we invite on stage Mr. Shivendra Singh, Vice President and Head, Global Trade, NASSCOM. We are also joined by Ms. Rooma, Bussi, Investment Advisor, India, Invest, Alberta. Also join me in welcoming Ms. Malini Dutt, Director, Trade and Investment, Investment NSW. Please give it up for Mr. Niraj Bisotia, Group COO, Usha Martin Technologies Group. Over to our esteemed panel, and it's really heartwarming to look at the kind of gender balance and the plethora of perspectives we expect from the session. Over to you.
You have the... A very good afternoon to everyone, and can I request everyone to come for this amazingly good session you're missing out on. People having lunch, if you can proceed to your chairs. So thank you so much for coming down to attend this session. You're absolutely correct. I think we planned it in a way that the diversity was absolutely 50-50. A big thanks to Rooma, Kumar, Bussi, who's the investment advisor from Invest, Alberta in Canada. Malini Dutt, Director, Trade and Investment, Invest, New South Wales in Australia. And last but definitely not the least, Niraj Bisotia, Chief Operating Officer, Usha Martin Technologies. But before we get into discussing the nitty-gritties of two geographies that we focus on, I thought I'll give you a bit of a download on what we've done as a team, focusing on global markets, very much based on what our SMEs have told us to do. So can we go to the next slide, please? So if you look at this slide gives you a good understanding about the kind of interventions that we've focused upon for our SMEs. And this has been based on the twin objectives of kind of looking at how do we lower your initial costs while you set up globally in a market. And number two is, how do you look to grow and expand, but with huge amount of credibility? So how does the credibility expand 10x? So these were the two things, and obviously a faster go-to-market strategy. So, okay, so we focused on, looking at global expos. One of the things you told us was, we need to find partners to deliver projects. You also said if there is a way that we could focus on getting B2Bs with end user customers, that would be a good one. And also, on the whole, how do we look at growing the engagements? So this was 22-23 for you in terms of some of the different geos that we focused on. And this gives you a good handle of, some of the programs that we did at a global expo. In Germany, we partnered with BMW, which represents the Mittelstand companies. And the whole idea is, in a strategic way, how do we look to partner with organizations that can help build a complementary relationship between our ability to serve and their ability to look at specific requirements. So we've done various other programs which you can see. In the interest of time, I'll kind of move forward. This is something recently we've done at LEAP, which is Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where we feel that that's probably one of the biggest opportunities that's there, given that there's nearly $750 billion worth of digitizing opportunities for us. And we were there at LEAP conference, and we had a bunch of startups and there are a lot of leads which have been generated as a result of that. We focused on Canada, we focused on Australia, and we focused on UK, which typically form the other segments and the mature markets as such. If I can focus on why we've managed to do that, I think one of the big reasons has been the relationships that we enjoy with global governments. So we had a trip to Canberra as well as in Ottawa very recently. The focus is on FTAs, and countries where India is signing an FTA, how do we as the tech sector play a key role in growing the bilateral trade? And I think that is something which is very critical. It is very, very important for our government. It is very, very important for the government, that we are signing an FTA with. So this is the reason why that you would see a lot of growth in some of these geos. One of the big things that we managed to solve was the resolution of the double tax avoidance agreement challenge, where the offshore part of revenues of companies were being taxed as royalties, and we thank our government for solving this. And this is this is few outcomes I just wanted to go into before we get on to the moderated session. We've had about 20 companies which have, like you, who've decided, and many of you have decided to set up in Canada. 12 have already set up. We have 4 launch pads that we have, and we will have a discussion on launch pads. 6 companies have set up in the UK, 2 in Germany. And just to give you one example of a company which has a turnover of 6 to 10 crores, they've set up in Canada, and we had the Economic Development and Trade Minister talk about that company in Parliament. Now, can you imagine the kind of credibility it builds for the company in question? So when they are looking to grow their market in that country, you start from an immense position of strength. So that's the kind of value which some of these engagements have come for, and this is something which we are looking to build up with you, and as you look to navigate your global expansion and try and see how we can focus on that. A small testimonial, and we thought we'll just put one testimonial for you to hear, and then we move on to our question and answer. Oh, sorry. Can we have this, please? No. Okay, if it's not working, in the interest of time, maybe we'll just move to the next slide. Can we close this? Okay, we'll have the next slide as it appears. Let's give it a minute. The last slide, please. The one after this.
Hi, my name is Ayush. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zedco. I wanted to share my experience with NASSCOM BTC, especially at E 2023. Our experience was unbelievable. This is, I think, by far the best event that we've been to. We cannot thank NASSCOM team enough for making this happen for us. Right from everything. First of all, we wouldn't have gone to know about the program in the first place. And then everything from getting the meeting set, from having us meet the ambassador, meeting the Saudi counterparts, meeting illustrated producer and stuff like that. Right? Small things like that really helped us. But once we were there, the event was just fabulous. We had around 55 people who walked into our pod where we spent quality time, spoke to them. Then we generated roughly around 26 proper, interested leads, like, qualified leads who could, at some point of time help us build a business in Saudi Arabia or the MENA region, and also help us grow. Eventually, we've had around 17 email follow-ups and 5 meetings already. We've not closed any sales yet because our typical sales cycle is around 6 to 9 months. It takes time, but nonetheless, it seems pretty promising. In fact, one of the partner is also coming to India tomorrow to meet us to further take it ahead. They want to have some sort of a JV with us, and we'll figure that out. So there's genuine interest from that event. I cannot thank Nehal enough for making this happen. This has really been a fabulous event for us. I would also like to thank Anshul for letting this happen and Claire for letting us know about this and helping us throughout the way. Thank you so much, NASSCOM team.
Okay, so this was in close partnership with our team, startup team. Okay, I'll leave this and I'll go on to the moderated session and we can have a discussion in terms of any Q&A. But these are a few programs that we've planned for 23-24. Okay, so that was the background to the whole engagements that we've had, and a big thank you to you, Rooma, as well as Malini and Niraj for for supporting us in the endeavors that you have. We picked up Australia and Canada as two countries because in the last 1 year we've made quite a bit of forays, and primarily because of the FTA discussions which are on, and things have moved up in quite a bit of fervor. First to you, in terms of the latest report that we have, Malini and Rooma, any one of you can take this question. There are about 35,000 plus tech firms in India, majority of which are SMEs, and you have a lot of SMEs as you can see in the room today. Both in terms of services, products, and BPM. How important is this segment to you in terms of your core strategy? And what are some of the things you're doing to engage with the agile and ambitious Indian tech SMEs? Maybe Malini, you first, and then Rooma.
Oh, I was going to direct it to Rooma. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here and very happy to see a full house. I congratulated Shivendra. Really feels like the leadership forum again. I think for us, the whole reason the state government and the federal government agencies of Australia exist is to support the SMEs. That's how important it is for us in both the trade promotion work that we do and also the investment attraction work that we do. And to be honest, when I look at the tech sector, the big tech companies don't need us. So if I look at the TCSs, Infosys, etc. of the world, they all have a massive presence in Australia. And collectively, they're generating about 8,000 jobs. So what we really wanted to do is focus on the SMEs. And with that vision, when we started last financial year, we did that with NASSCOM, and it started with a 6-city roadshow across India. And we came across some really high-growth companies who were interested to expand to Australia. After that, we started talking to NASSCOM, and we realized that the wonderful landing pad effort that they're already engaged in, I said I was very keen to do something similar for Australia. So that thought came out of the whole event. Following that, I think another initiative was NASSCOM then taking the delegation to Australia, and we contributed to the Sydney leg of the program. The delegation visited Melbourne and Adelaide. And I think going forward, I just saw the last slide where Shivendra said that there's going to be an in-person visit again to Australia. I think we want to continue being a part of that journey. For us, NASSCOM is a very important partner in India. So we'll talk about what we're specifically doing for the landing pad a bit later, but I think those are a couple of things that we are very keen to engage with the SMEs here. There's a program coming up in June as well. We have a big precinct called Tech Central, which is spread across about 6 suburbs in Sydney. And we're very keen to, bring all the tech providers, innovators, R&D institutions, startups, scale-ups, not only across Australia, but across the globe to that event. So we'll be in discussion with NASSCOM and you'll hear more on that front, but very, very keen to support your plans in Australia.
Thanks, Malini. And, I'd urge our speakers to be a bit quick in their response given the small and limited time that we have. Rooma, over to you.
Thank you, Shivendra, and thanks for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be amongst you. So I represent Invest Alberta, which is the primary trade and investment promotion agency of the government of Alberta in Canada. And our primary role is to attract investment into the province of Alberta in Canada. And we have been engaging with NASSCOM and with a lot of SMEs in India. And of course, we all like to engage with the enterprise businesses, the tier 1s, the tier 2s, and the startups. But we recognize that SMEs are the tier 1s and tier 2s of tomorrow. So it's really important for us to engage with you. I think also we all know that you are the job creators, the backbones of the economy, you are the innovators. So from that perspective, we think that SMEs are a really important segment that we need to be working with. So very pleased to be here in front of you today. I think in the same vein, I'd like to add, when any region is looking at companies coming to invest in their markets, I think one of the key things that we look out for is value creation. So how is this investment or this company going to add value to the local economy? So, when you are thinking of coming to investing in overseas markets, what are you bringing to the local economy? Is it job creation? Is it innovation? I think all of those factors are really important to talk about as well when you are expanding to overseas markets. To answer your last question, Shivendra, how are we engaging with the SMEs? I think it's primarily been through the forum that NASSCOM provides us. So we've been working very closely with NASSCOM over the past few years in really engaging with the SME sectors because this is a really important segment for us. Thank you. Over to you.
Thanks, Rooma. Niraj, coming to you now, could you talk a bit about your company, some of the expansion plans that you have? How has NASSCOM added a bit of value to your growth journey? But more importantly, in terms of how do you see the growth of a company like Usha Martin in different geographies and where do you see the growth coming from?
Yeah, thank you, Shivendra, and pleasure to be here. Usha Martin Tech, essentially, we are a product company. And we address sectors like telecom and telecom infra. Telecom infra meaning towers. And it becomes more important with 5G rollout happening all over the world. Hence, this is a particular industry we are very keen on. We have been in this business for a while and we deal on the business side. Provide end-to-end billing solutions for the telcos and the towercos and associated products. And as I said, I repeat, we are a product company, so we own our IP, and we are not a, a service provider. So with this background, we have been engaging with NASSCOM for quite some time, and various, delegations. We have been part of. I myself have been part of various delegations to US and to Africa. In fact, I missed out on Australia for that matter, but now I'm in touch with Malini. And in fact, we've had a couple of sessions already, our plans into Australia. With regard to our expansion plans, we follow a model of partnering with organizations who are local in those countries. That's what, and NASSCOM has been helpful, rather very much helpful in this regard. Our focus area is, as of today, obviously focus areas, meaning, these are especially from the tower sector, these are upcoming economies. And we are also looking at Australia and the rest of maybe Canada also, discussion with there. But that is from more mature market, from a telco business. So, there are two distinct strategies, let's say. We visited, So, as part of the NASSCOM delegation, we went to Africa, South Africa, and again in Nairobi last, I think it was October, November. So we have been looking at Africa. So this is answering your question that, what our expansion plan and how does NASSCOM fit in, or what will happen in association with NASSCOM. That's what I'm trying to answer. We have been present in South Africa for quite some time, but for some reason or the other, we were not able to penetrate or get into, the other areas of Africa, especially East and West Africa. So this particular, visit did, help us in understanding the region. Because understanding Africa is important. And this is one example. Understanding the great entity is important. Australia will work in different ways, Asia will work in different ways. Hence the visit was an eye-opener in various ways, understanding, which country is important, the economy, etc., etc. And then, cutting the story short, eventually what happened was that today we are engaging with a couple of partners already in Kenya and for East Africa. And I made a follow-up visit, and the third visit is coming up in April, where we are participating in East Africa Congress. So this entire journey has been over the last 6 months. And this was, one of our, how should I say, focus area, but NASSCOM, with the help of NASSCOM, or with this initiative, we could hasten the process.
Thanks, Niraj. Coming to you, Malini, some of the sectors of focus, especially in the New South Wales area, includes fintech, cybersecurity, gaming, AI, other emerging technologies. How would you recommend our companies sitting here to look at a segmented strategy and approach for some of these sectors? What are your recommendations?
So, picking on from the first question, we've just started looking at this landing pad initiative, first of all, in collaboration with NASSCOM, where we, NASSCOM, and there's another big business association, Business New South Wales, which has about 50,000 members, will come together and provide these services. And typically what we're trying to do with these type of businesses that you mentioned, and we think these are very opportune areas, is we will definitely provide these high growth businesses with subsidized office space. And the second area we will look at providing is concierge services, which include services like legal, setting up, introduction to business chambers, industry associations, and any other entities that will help you further your business objectives. There are a number of sector-focused events. So if you look at AI, emerging tech, and gaming, this year Sydney is home to a big creative industries event called South by Southwest, which is for the first time being held anywhere outside the US, Austin to be specific. And it's going to be in Sydney. So we plan to do a big showcase around that, and we'll invite a lot of global participants. So we will be working with agencies like NASSCOM and to spread the word to members and look at bringing a delegation there. You mentioned about fintechs. Sydney will be host to a fintech summit in October as well. So I think that would be one of the ways where there was an initial market visit, but we're building on that to sector-specific visits. We're extending it to an outfit like the landing pad, and we will create opportunities for you to make that visit to Australia and explore partnerships with specific sector players and further your business.
Thank you so much. Rooma, coming to you now. We've just signed an MOU for the launch pad with Alberta, and you had a bunch of about 30 plus companies in Alberta very recently. Would you like to highlight some of the benefits and what the immediate feedback that you received from some of the companies who were there?
Yes, absolutely. So we've just signed this MOU with NASSCOM for the launchpad, and this happened just last month. And we've then subsequently welcomed this delegation along with NASSCOM on the March 13th into Alberta. And this launchpad, basically, through which we are working with McEwen University, we provide a 180-day free desk space for companies that want to set up in Alberta. And basically what this provides you is a soft landing pad, a very safe and soft landing pad where you can actually go work out of that space. They will provide you, business assistance. They will introduce you to the local ecosystem. So it's an easy way for you to set up and test the market. And I think through the delegation that we had with NASSCOM, we've already seen 4 to 5 companies that are interested in this. So partners in this launchpad are McEwen University in Edmonton and also Platform Calgary, which is now hopefully coming on board, and that's in the city of Calgary. And I think we'd be really happy to have any of the companies that are in this room are interested in exploring Alberta to come and speak to. You can come and speak to me after this forum. I think the real success for us in this Launchpad program would be if you would come and set up with us at the Launchpad, but then if you would expand and grow and then move out from there to set up your own offices, for us that would be a real success.
So I'm just looking at the time. Thanks so much to all our participants, but I wanted to make it an interactive session, so it'll be great if we can have some questions. If you could highlight your name and the question whom you want to ask for. Any questions? The challenge before lunch was that everyone was interested in lunch, and now I have to keep you all awake as well, so that's my challenge. Okay, the mic please.
Can you please define the launchpad?
So what we are doing is one of the ways that NASSCOM looks to support its SMEs, very much based on the feedback that we've received, and including startups of course, is how do we reduce the initial costs of setup for the first 6 months, because that's the time when you are trying to look at developing a sales pipeline. And the second is how do you enhance your credibility. So the launchpads that we've set up in different geographies, including Canada and the US, and now we are expanding to Australia, UK as well, and potentially Kenya, is that you have this incubation space where you get a 6-month to 9-month rent-free facility to base yourselves there. Most importantly, the concierge service, which Malini was pointing out, which means connection to the local ecosystem, Chamber of Commerce, businesses, legal, regulatory, financial, all of that comes under that roof. So that is another benefit that we have for our companies, and that's how we've envisaged it based on your feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah. The gentleman here. Yes. The mic, please.
Thank you for this wonderful discussion. This question is addressed to Rooma ma'am. So what are the investment opportunities for content creation companies who has a lot of content and who are still struggling to find a balance between whether to set up their offices abroad or should the virtual environment is fair enough? But because apart from the virtual environment, you need to have the face-to-face connect. That's what my question is. What are the investment opportunities for the content creating companies like Josh Talks? Yeah, similar like what Josh Talks is doing.
So content creation.
Content creation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunities for content creation companies in Canada in general and Alberta also. I mean, if we're just looking at Netflix, for example, some of their primary content writing happens out of Canada. And so I think you're looking at, and also a lot of advertising agencies, the headquarters tend to be there as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for content creation, in general in Canada and in Alberta. To answer your question about face-to-face and virtual, so if I just take a step back into internationalization, why do firms internationalize? So primarily that tends to be, sometimes it's for increased profits and sales, sometimes it's for acquisition of knowledge, talent, technology, and sometimes it's for economies of scale, but that's more for manufacturing companies. And then the fourth bracket really is, when people are basically looking at it from the point of view of, customer service. And so I would say that when you're looking at enterprise level companies, they tend to fit into all the four brackets. For SMEs, I find that a lot of companies are just looking at maybe the first and the fourth brackets only. But I would argue that it's really important for companies to have their own presence. Look at increasing your sales and profit for sure, but also look at, how can I acquire more talent, better content writing talent, which you might not find here, or it could be, just the technologies that you're looking at. So I think even for SMEs to think about even that part is really important. And then once you've actually done that, I think a lot of companies say to me, why can't I just sell from India? And the fact is that, you will never have the kind of the customer service, the response to customers, the credibility, if you're actually doing this from here. And let's say you're doing it in partnership with a foreign firm, the fact is that you are still doing low value work sitting here in India while your partner's doing the high value work and therefore realizing higher profits. So, it's really important, I would say, for all SMEs to really think of it from the point of view of, can I really add value to my company, to my products, to my services sitting here in India, or do I need to be in front of my customer where I can have more personalized products? I can give better value-added products. I can hire talent, or technology which basically allows me to do product development or maybe add a layer of AI or add a layer of quantum or add a layer of analytics onto your products and services, which you can then provide as value-added products and services to your customers. So I would argue that it's really important for you to have some kind of a presence of your own in market, and that might just start off with a one-person office, but eventually, as you grow, you can move on to other larger presence as well.
Yeah, thanks. In fact, but I was also looking for the investment opportunity. Like, are there enough investors there also, or should I be investing by myself? So that is also one of the parts.
Are there investors?
Investors.
Yes, I mean, so private equity, venture capital investment is, there's a lot of...
For this very industry, content creating industry.
For content creation, yes. So there are investors who are looking at, investing into that space as well. And I would think that, we would need to have a discussion about what sectors you write your content for. Because then you have to look at where there's an industry for is there a market for your content in Canada or in Alberta. And then we talk about, which investors might be interested.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We can have an offline discussion on that. I'm conscious the time's up. It's showing. A big thanks to our panelists, Niraj, Malini and Rooma, and most importantly, big thanks to you. And we are here available after the session. If there are any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to us. But a big thank you again. Thanks so much.
Many thanks for that super informative and engaging session to our panel. I now request our moderator, Mr. Shivendra Singh, to kindly felicitate our speakers. Ms. Rooma, Ms. Malini, Mr. Niraj, capturing the moment with a group picture.